Day 19. Renewal. No.
What?
I won't do it.
You bloody will do it, and you know why? Because if you don't, then you're gone.
I'm gone anyway. He stood up, turned, and walked out of his boss's office. He walked past the staring staffers, the brokers, the salespeople, his team, well, his old team. He walked into the lift, shaking. The doors took a long time to close. He walked out across the lobby. He dropped his pass on the reception desk. He walked out through the glass doors, onto the pavement, and looked up at the sky. It was blue, just like it always was. He looked around at the people walking. They had no idea who he was. One man was walking a dog, wearing jeans. He thought the man must not have to go to work today. Maybe the man never worked. A woman walking in the opposite direction was drinking a coffee and laughing into her phone. That woman has no clue what I just did. She never will, and it doesn't matter whatsoever. His mouth stretched into a broad smile, and then he laughed. The woman on the phone sped up. He started to walk. He noticed he was walking slowly, but no one minded. He was walking slowly because he wasn't going anywhere. It was like he was walking for the first time. He looked at himself in a window. His face looked tired, but his eyes looked younger than they had for years. And there was the smile. Seeing the smile made it wider. The window wasn't a window, but another glass door into a pret-a-manger, and the woman walking out made eye contact before quickly breaking it. He almost said hello, but "Hello, lovely morning," he said. She sped up too. He walked into the Pret. "Hello, lovely morning." He liked the idea of having a catchphrase. "Hello, sir, what can I get you?" He hadn't been expecting that. His eyes drifted up to the drinks menu, down to the waffles and brownies, over his shoulder to the sandwiches and soups in the chiller. He held up a finger. He'd always wanted to do that. "If I order one of everything," he ventured, "that would probably be too much, wouldn't it?" The man behind the counter looked scared, and then smiled. They both smiled. "I think so, yes. What do you like?" "No one's ever asked me that before," he said. He wasn't smiling anymore. "Well, I can recommend egg and cress. A sandwich. The best bit is at the end." "The end?" "That's when I give the crusts to the ducks." The young man behind the counter leaned and looked through the glass door. There was a park. "Then an egg and cress sandwich it is." He paid and smiled and walked out of the shop, across the road, and into the park. He'd never noticed this park before. It was beautiful. He saw the man with the dog and the jeans walking along smooth tarmac and throwing a ball. He was walking on the path too and saw a bench right next to the water. Why had he never come to this park? The sunlight was sparkling on the water, so he squinted. Then he thought, why? I want to see it. And so he opened his eyes more. He looked at the light, at the water. He had never looked at the light on the water before. Tears were in his eyes, but that was all right. "Quack," said a duck. They really say it, he thought. That made him remember his sandwich. He looked at the package. It was brown with a little window. The egg and mayonnaise were pressed up against the window, desperate to get out. The font on the label was friendly, like handwriting. He wondered where the person who designed the label was now. He hoped they were having as nice a day as he was. He found a corner and pulled. The ripping sound was bright and he suddenly felt very hungry. He pulled out a generous sandwich and bit right into the middle. There was egg on his face, and it was cool. The crust tickled his cheek and he knew it was time to stop. Time for the ducks. He was so grateful for the sandwich box. It held the crust as he broke it up into little pieces. Ducks have little bills, he realised. They were already waiting. What clever birds. He pulled out a piece and looked down at it, straight at a duck. He was aiming. He didn't want to miss. Fire! The bread didn't fly as directly as he had expected, but that only added to his delight. In fact, it bounced off the head of a mallard who was beaten to it by another. I want them all to eat. He flicked the sandwich box and crust rained down onto the birds, the bank, the pond. He wanted to watch every bite, every flap, but there was far too much going on. And then they were gone. He stuck out his bottom lip, but then he smiled. This was the best day ever. He stood up from the bench and stretched. He let out a long moan, a long note. His chest reverberated and he felt whole. He waved to a little girl on the opposite side and she waved back. He couldn't have been happier. The sun was going down. The park was getting colder. He thought he should go home, but why? He remembered himself yesterday like it was a different person 100 years ago. He would go home to go to sleep, to wake up, to go to work. But looking out across the water, he wasn't in the same world anymore. He wasn't even sure he needed to sleep, if he knew how to sleep. He didn't know if he still needed to sleep or poo or shower or do any of those things that had felt so important before his renewal. He was a different being on a different planet.